The moment Lena Hart's lips touched his, she sealed her fate and didn't even know it. One reckless kiss, one dangerous man. One night that shattered everything. What started as a drunken dare in a shadowy bar became a deadly game she never agreed to play. Adrian Voss doesn't forgive. He doesn't forget. And he never lets go. Welcome to a story where desire collides with danger, where one mistake pulls you into a world you can't escape. Stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. This is just the beginning. The bass thrummed through the floor like a second heartbeat, pulsing up through Lena's heels and into her chest. She stood at the edge of the VIP section, clutching a martini she hadn't ordered and didn't want, watching Chicago's elite move through the dim red lighting like sharks circling prey. This wasn't her world. Lena Hart belonged in spreadsheets, in quarterly reports, in sensible flats and business casual, in apartments that smelled like vanilla candles and grocery store flowers. She belonged in safety, in predictability. Not here. Not in Apex, where the drinks cost more than her weekly grocery budget and every person looked like they could buy her life twice over without checking their account balance. "You're doing it again," Maya said, appearing at her elbow with 2 shot glasses filled with something amber and probably regrettable. That thing where you look like you're calculating tax returns in your head. "I'm not." "You are." Jess materialized on her other side, her dark eyes sparkling with the particular brand of mischief that had gotten them kicked out of 2 bars already tonight. "It's your tell. Your mouth does this little thing." She mimicked a tight-lipped expression that Lena absolutely did not make. "I don't do that." "You literally just did it again." Maya pressed one of the shots into Lena's hand. "Babe, we love you. We love your color-coded calendar and your meal prep Sundays and your very sensible retirement portfolio. But tonight you promised." Lena had promised. 3 weeks ago, over Thai food and too much wine, she'd agreed to one night. One night of not being the responsible friend, the designated driver, the one who remembered everyone's jacket and made sure they got home safe. One night of being reckless. "I'm here, aren't I?" Lena gestured at the club, at her dress. A black number Maya had physically wrestled her into. All silk and suggestion, nothing like the structured blazers that made up her actual wardrobe. "You're here in body," Jess said, "but your soul is still in your apartment organizing your spice rack alphabetically." "It's already alphabetical." "Exactly our point." Maya clinked her shot glass against Lena's. "Stop thinking. Start doing. That's the whole point of tonight." The shot burned going down, settling hot and uncomfortable in Lena's stomach. Around them, Apex hummed with wealth and secrets. The kind of place where conversations happened in low murmurs, where people touched diamond necklaces with casual fingers, where the bartenders knew better than to ask questions. Lena had read about places like this. Clubs where the city's power players came to relax, to make deals, to pretend the rules that governed ordinary people didn't apply. She'd never imagined actually being inside one. "Okay," Maya said, her voice taking on that dangerous edge that preceded every bad decision they'd made since college. "New game." "No." Lena shook her head. "No games. You said we'd just have drinks and dance and truth or dare. We're not 16. "Truth or dare," Maya repeated, grinning. "But adult version, real stakes." Jess leaned in, already committed to whatever chaos Maya was orchestrating. "I'm in." "Lena?" "I'm not, Lena." Maya's hand found her shoulder, squeezed. "You made us a promise. One night of yes instead of no. Or are you going to go back to your apartment right now and spend Saturday night doing a deep clean of your closet?" The words hit harder than they should have. Lena thought about her apartment, her carefully organized life, the routine that made her feel safe and small in equal measure. Wake up. Work. Gym. Groceries. Sleep. Repeat. Efficient. Controlled. Suffocating. "Fine," she heard herself say. "One round." Maya's smile could have powered the whole club. "Excellent. Lena, you're first. Truth or dare?" The smart choice was truth. Truth was safe. Truth meant answering a question and moving on. "Dare," Lena said, and watched her friend's eyebrows rise in perfect sync. "Oh, she's serious tonight," Jess murmured. Maya surveyed the room with the calculating look of a general planning an assault. The VIP section was separated from the main floor by velvet ropes and the kind of quiet menace that came from large men in dark suits. Beyond that barrier, Apex's regular patrons danced and drank, unaware of the different world existing just above them. But in the VIP section, the energy changed. Men in expensive suits spoke in clusters, their postures radiating the particular confidence that came from never having to ask permission. Women in designer dresses laughed at the right moments, touched arms at the right times, played games Lena had never learned the rules to. And in the corner, in the darkest booth furthest from the entrance, sat a man who made everyone else look like they were playing pretend. He wasn't moving, wasn't drinking, wasn't speaking to the two men flanking him or acknowledging the woman who'd tried to slide into his booth 3 minutes ago and been dismissed with a single glance. He was just watching. Dark hair, sharp suit, features that would have been handsome if they weren't so severe, all hard angles and harsh lines. But it was his eyes that made Lena's skin prickle with awareness, even from across the room, pale and cold and assessing, like he was calculating everyone's worth and finding them wanting. "Him," Maya said, following Lena's gaze. "I dare you to kiss him." Lena's heart kicked against her ribs. "What?" "The dangerous-looking one in the corner. Go kiss him." "Absolutely not. You said dare." Maya's grin widened. "Those are the rules. Those are insane rules. I'm not going to walk up to a stranger and what? Have one impulsive moment in your entire carefully planned life?" Jess joined Maya's side, both of them watching Lena with matching expressions of challenge. "Come on. When's the last time you did something just because you wanted to, not because it made sense?" Lena wanted to argue. Wanted to list all the very good reasons why approaching a man who radiated danger like cologne was a terrible idea. Wanted to explain that she didn't do things like this, had never done things like this, would never... But she'd made a promise. And that man in the corner with his cold eyes and colder posture represented everything her careful life had been designed to avoid. Chaos, risk, the kind of unknown variable that couldn't be controlled or predicted or filed away in a neat spreadsheet. Maybe that was exactly why she needed to do this. "One kiss," Lena said, her voice steadier than her hands, "and then we're done." "One kiss," Maya agreed, already pushing her toward the velvet rope. The bouncer at the VIP entrance looked at Lena like she was lost. She probably looked it. Her dress was expensive enough to pass, but everything else about her screamed that she didn't belong. The way she held herself, the uncertainty in her eyes, the death grip on her clutch. "I'm with them," Lena said, gesturing vaguely at the VIP section, praying it would be enough. The bouncer's expression didn't change, but he stepped aside. Lena's heels clicked against marble as she crossed into territory that felt distinctly more predatory. Conversations paused as she passed. Eyes tracked her movement. She was an unknown element in a space where everyone knew everyone, and unknowns were either opportunities or threats. The man in the corner didn't look up. She was 10 feet away when one of his companions noticed her approach. He leaned in, murmured something. Still, the man didn't react. 5 feet. Lena's pulse hammered in her throat. This was stupid. This was reckless. This was exactly what she'd promised to be tonight. 3 feet. His eyes lifted. The impact of his gaze hit her like a physical thing, ice gray and utterly devoid of warmth, assessing her in a single sweep that made her feel simultaneously invisible and completely exposed. His face remained expressionless, but something shifted in the air around him. A subtle tension, like a predator deciding whether to acknowledge prey. "Can I help you?" His voice matched his appearance, cold, precise, with an accent she couldn't quite place buried underneath careful English. Lena's prepared words evaporated. She was suddenly acutely aware of every decision that had led to this moment. The shots, the dare, the promise to be someone different for one night. Her voice came out smaller than intended. She cleared her throat, straightened her spine. "My friends dared me to kiss you." Silence. One of his companions coughed something that might have been a laugh. The other went very still. The man's expression didn't change. "Did they?" It wasn't a question. "Yes, so I'm going to, if that's okay, if you don't mind. I'm asking for consent. Which is important, obviously. She was babbling. She never babbled. It's just one kiss. Then I'll go. You'll never see me again. And if I mind, then I'll apologize for bothering you and go back to my friends and die of embarrassment. The words came out in a rush. Which is honestly the more likely outcome here anyway, so he moved. Not quickly, not dramatically. But one moment he was sitting, and the next he was standing directly in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. Close enough to realize he was taller than she'd thought, broader, his presence overwhelming in a way that had nothing to do with physical size and everything to do with the kind of authority that didn't need to be stated. You have 30 seconds, he said quietly. Then this conversation is over. It wasn't permission. It wasn't invitation. It was a test. Lena didn't think. Thinking was what she always did, the reflex that kept her safe and small and controlled. Instead, she stepped forward, rose onto her toes, and pressed her lips to his. The world narrowed to a single point of contact. His mouth was exactly as cold as his eyes, unmoving against hers. For 3 heartbeats, he did nothing, didn't respond, didn't pull away, just stood there like stone while she made a fool of herself. Then his hand came up, fingers sliding into her hair, tilting her head to an angle that gave him control. His mouth moved against hers, and it wasn't gentle, wasn't sweet. It was claiming, possessive, the kind of kiss that wasn't about pleasure. It was about power. Lena forgot how to breathe. He kissed like he owned her, like those 30 seconds were his to use however he wanted. His other hand settled on her waist, holding her in place, and she felt the strength in his grip even though he wasn't being rough. Just firm. Absolute. When he pulled back, Lena's knees weren't quite steady. His eyes studied her face with clinical detachment, like she was a problem he was solving. You should go now. Right. Her voice came out breathless. Yes. Going. She managed 2 steps before he spoke again. What's your name? Lena turned back. He was already sitting again, posture relaxed, expression unreadable, like the last 60 seconds hadn't happened, like he kissed strangers in dark corners every night and forgot them by morning. She should lie, should give him a fake name and disappear into the crowd and pretend this had never happened. Lena, she said instead. Lena Hart. Something flickered across his face. Too fast to read, gone before she could process it. Lena Hart, he repeated, tasting her name like it meant something. Go back to your friends now. Enjoy your evening. It was a dismissal, clear and final. Lena fled. Maya and Jess ambushed her the moment she cleared the velvet rope, both of them talking over each other in excited shrieks that barely registered through the buzzing in Lena's ears. Oh my God! Did you see his face? You actually did it! Who is he? Did he tell you his name? Lena shook her head, trying to clear the fog. Her lips still tingled. Her waist still felt warm where his hand had been. I don't know, I did what you dared me to do. Can we go now? Are you kidding? That was incredible. Maya grabbed her shoulders, grinning like a lunatic. You just walked up to the scariest man in this entire club and kissed him like it was nothing. It wasn't nothing. Lena's hands were shaking. She pressed them against her dress, willing herself to calm down. It was stupid. It was reckless and stupid and exactly what you needed, Jess finished. Look at you. You're actually alive right now. When's the last time you felt like this? Never, Lena wanted to say. She'd never felt like this. Like her skin was too tight, and her blood was too hot, and something fundamental had shifted in her understanding of the world. I need air, she managed. They made it to the street in a blur of coats and goodbyes, spilling out onto Michigan Avenue where the October wind cut through silk like it was nothing. Lena sucked in lungfuls of cold air, trying to shock her system back to normal. That was amazing, Maya said again, softer this time. Lena, seriously, I'm proud of you. For making an idiot of myself? For being brave. Jess squeezed her hand. Even if it was just for 60 seconds, that's 60 seconds more than usual. They caught a cab home, Maya and Jess still rehashing every detail while Lena stared out the window and tried to convince herself that the man with the ice-gray eyes was already forgetting her name. She didn't see the black SUV that pulled into traffic 3 cars behind them. Didn't notice it follow them all the way to her apartment in Lincoln Park. Didn't see it idle at the corner while she fumbled with her keys and said goodnight to her friends. Inside the vehicle, Adrienne Voss watched the lights in her third-floor apartment flick on, watched her shadow move across the curtains as she prepared for bed, watched until those lights went dark and the building settled into sleep. Then he made a phone call. "Sir?" The voice on the other end was immediately alert despite the late hour. "Lena Hart. I want everything." Adrian's fingers drummed against his knee, a rare tell of agitation. Where she works, where she lives, who she knows, credit history, criminal record, social media, everything. How deep? All the way down. A pause. Should I ask why? No. Adrian ended the call. He should drive away. Should dismiss this as what it was, a random encounter with a stranger who'd had too much to drink and not enough sense. A woman who'd stumbled into his world by accident and would stumble right back out, unaware of how close she'd come to something dangerous. But he couldn't shake the image of her face in that moment before she'd kissed him, the fear and determination warring in her eyes. The way she'd squared her shoulders and done it anyway, despite every instinct probably screaming at her to run. Bravery or stupidity? With her, he wasn't sure there was a difference. Either way, she'd made a mistake tonight. She'd gotten his attention. And Adrienne Voss never forgot a face. Never left loose ends. Never let unknown variables remain unknown. Lena Hart had no idea what she'd done. But she would. Passé. Monday morning arrived with all the grace of a car crash. Lena's alarm shrieked at 6 a.m., dragging her from dreams she couldn't quite remember, but that left her unsettled anyway. She slapped it silent, groaning into her pillow before forcing herself upright. Coffee. Shower. The morning routine that usually centered her felt mechanical today, her mind elsewhere. She kept thinking about Saturday night, about cold eyes and colder lips, about the way he'd looked at her like he could see straight through to all her carefully hidden parts. "Stop it," she told her reflection as she applied her usual minimal makeup. "It was nothing. You'll never see him again." Her reflection didn't look convinced. The train to work was packed with the usual Monday crowd, everyone looking vaguely hungover and deeply unhappy to be awake. Lena claimed a spot near the doors, her messenger bag clutched against her side, and tried to focus on the week ahead. Quarterly reports due Wednesday. Client meeting Thursday. The Henderson account needed attention, and Marcus had been dropping hints about year-end performance reviews. Normal things, predictable things, things that had nothing to do with dangerous men in dark corners. The offices of Hartwell and Associates occupied 3 floors of a glass tower in the Loop. Lena had worked there for 4 years, steadily climbing from junior analyst to her current position, earning respect through reliability and precision. She was good at her job, good at finding patterns in numbers, at making sense of financial chaos, at being the person others could depend on. "Morning, Lena," Sarah from accounting waved as Lena stepped off the elevator. "How was your weekend?" "Quiet," Lena lied automatically. "Caught up on some reading. You?" "Took the kids to the zoo. My feet are still recovering." Sarah laughed, already moving past toward the break room. Lena's cubicle was exactly as she'd left it Friday. Organized desk, color-coded files, a small succulent that somehow survived her inconsistent watering schedule. She set down her bag, powered up her computer, and pulled up the Henderson account. Numbers filled her screen, clean, logical, making perfect sense. She lost herself in them gratefully. Lunch came and went at her desk, salad from the place downstairs, eaten between emails. The afternoon dragged in that particular Monday way, everyone moving slow, the office humming with low-level discontent. At 4:30, Marcus stopped by her cubicle. "Lena, got a minute?" Her boss was in his 50s, graying at the temples, with the kind of permanent stress lines that came from 20 years in finance. But he was fair, and he'd taken a chance on her when she was fresh out of school with more determination than experience. "Of course," Lena minimized her spreadsheet. "What's up?" "The Meridian account." Marcus leaned against her cubicle wall. "They're asking for a full audit, want our best analyst on it." "When do they need it by?" "End of month." Lena pulled up her calendar, mentally shuffling deadlines. "I can make that work. Send me the details." "Already in your inbox." Marcus smiled. "I knew I could count on you. Always can." After he left, Lena opened the email. Meridian Industries. She'd heard the name but never worked with them directly. Import/export, based downtown, big contracts with overseas manufacturers. Straightforward enough. She was 3 pages into their financial reports when her desk phone rang. Lena Hart. Lena, hi. It's Melissa from downstairs reception. The young woman sounded uncertain. There's a delivery for you, but the courier says he can only give it to you directly. Do you want me to send him up, or... Lena frowned. I wasn't expecting anything. What kind of delivery? Flowers, I think. He's not being very chatty. Okay. Send him up, I guess. She hung up, bewildered. Flowers? The only person who ever sent her flowers was her mother, and that was only on her birthday, which wasn't for another 6 months. The elevator dinged 5 minutes later. Through the glass partition separating the cubicles from the hallway, Lena watched a man in a dark suit step out. Not a delivery uniform, an actual suit, expensive looking, his posture military straight. He was carrying roses, 24 of them, deep red, arranged in a crystal vase that probably cost more than her rent. Several heads turned as he walked through the office. He ignored them all, his attention fixed on something, someone, with single-minded purpose. He stopped at her cubicle. Lena Hart? That's me. She stood slowly, unease prickling at the base of her spine. I think there's been a mistake. I didn't order. These are for you. He set the vase on her desk with careful precision. From Adrian Voss. He wanted you to have them. The name hit her like cold water. Adrian, the man from Saturday night, the one she'd kissed and run from and tried very hard to forget about. How did he know where I work? The question came out sharper than intended. The courier's expression didn't flicker. Mr. Voss requested that you call him at your earliest convenience. He produced a business card from his jacket pocket, set it beside the roses. Good afternoon, Miss Hart. He was gone before she could formulate a response. Lena stared at the flowers. At the card, heavy stock, embossed lettering, a phone number, but no other information. Around her, the office hummed with renewed interest. Sarah had appeared at the partition, eyes wide. 2 cubicles over, Jennifer was blatantly staring. Lena, Sarah hissed, who is Adrian Voss? Nobody. Lena grabbed the card, shoved it in her desk drawer. Just someone I met over the weekend. It's nothing. But her hands were shaking again. And that night, when she got home to her apartment, there was another delivery waiting. Not flowers this time. A bottle of wine. The kind that came with 4 figures on the price tag and a handwritten note on the same heavy cardstock. You said I'd never see you again. You were wrong. Lena locked her door, double-checked it, then poured herself a glass of wine that probably cost more than her entire liquor cabinet combined, and tried to figure out what the hell she'd gotten herself into. The wine sat untouched on her counter for 3 days. Lena couldn't bring herself to drink it, couldn't bring herself to throw it out either. It sat there like an accusation, expensive and unwanted, a reminder that someone she'd met exactly once knew where she lived. She tried to focus on work, buried herself in the Meridian audit, staying late at the office, taking files home that she barely looked at. The roses on her desk had attracted attention all week, whispered speculation in the break room, knowing looks from Sarah, pointed questions from Jennifer that Lena deflected with increasingly unconvincing lies. By Thursday, the flowers were starting to wilt. By Friday, Lena's nerves were frayed to the point of snapping. She was gathering her things at 6 p.m., grateful for the weekend, when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost declined, finger hovering over the red button, then answered. Hello? Miss Hart. That voice. Cold and precise, exactly as she remembered. I trust you received my gifts. Lena's grip tightened on the phone. Around her, the office was emptying out, people calling goodbyes as they headed for the elevators. She turned toward the window, lowering her voice. How did you get this number? The same way I got your address, your workplace, your social security number if I wanted it. Adrian said it matter-of-factly, like he was discussing the weather. You're not difficult to find, Lena. She struggled for words. That's stalking. That's completely inappropriate and illegal, and you're frightened. He cut through her protest smoothly. Which is smart. You should be frightened. The bluntness of it stopped her cold. Are you threatening me? No, I'm warning you. A pause. There's a difference. I don't understand. I know you don't. That's the problem. Background noise filtered through the line. Voices, movement, the clink of glasses. He was somewhere public. I need you to listen carefully. Last Saturday, you walked into Apex. You kissed me. And in doing so, you caught the attention of several very interested parties. Lena's mouth went dry. What parties? The kind who take note of anyone I show interest in. The kind who are currently trying to determine exactly who you are and what you mean to me. I don't mean anything to you. It was a dare. It was stupid and meaningless, and it stopped being meaningless the moment I didn't walk away. His voice dropped lower, and she heard something that might have been frustration. The moment I touched you back, asked your name, that made it something else entirely. I didn't ask for this. I know. For the first time, his tone softened fractionally. But here we are regardless. Lena pressed her forehead against the cool glass of the window, watching the evening traffic crawl below. Her reflection stared back, pale and uncertain. What do you want from me? To keep you alive. The words landed like stones. Alive, she repeated numbly. You're saying someone wants to hurt me because I kissed you at a bar? I'm saying that in my world, perception is reality. And right now, the perception is that you matter to me, which makes you valuable, which makes you a target. He paused. I have people watching you, making sure you're safe. But you need to be smart about this. Smart how? Don't deviate from your routine. Don't go anywhere alone after dark. Don't accept drinks from strangers or get into cars you don't recognize. And for the love of... He caught himself. Don't kiss any more dangerous men in dark corners. Despite everything, Lena almost laughed. The sound came out strangled. This is insane. Yes, I want to go back to last Saturday and undo all of this. You can't. Neither can I. Adrian exhaled slowly. I'm trying to protect you, Lena. Whether you believe that or not. By stalking me? By sending expensive gifts to my workplace where everyone can see? By making me paranoid about every shadow? Her voice cracked. This isn't protection. This is control. Sometimes, Adrian said quietly, they're the same thing. Lena wanted to argue, wanted to tell him to leave her alone, to take his warnings and his roses and his overpriced wine and disappear from her life completely. But there was something in his voice, not quite concern. He was too cold for that. But something close to it, something that made her think he actually meant what he was saying. I need to go, she managed. One more thing. He spoke quickly, like he knew she was about to hang up. Tomorrow night, dinner. Let me explain properly, face to face. Absolutely not. Public place, your choice of restaurant. Bring friends if it makes you feel safer. He waited. I'm asking, Lena, not demanding. Why should I? Because you deserve to understand what's happening, and because running won't help. If you're in danger, you need to know why and from whom. I can tell you both. Lena closed her eyes. Every rational part of her brain screamed that this was a terrible idea. That dinner with Adrian Voss would only drag her deeper into whatever mess she'd accidentally stumbled into. But he was right about one thing. She did deserve answers. Giordano's, she said finally. The one on Rush Street, 7 p.m., and I'm bringing Maya. Bring whoever you want. Something that might have been relief colored his tone. I'll see you tomorrow. He ended the call before she could change her mind. Lena stood at the window for another 10 minutes, phone pressed to her chest, trying to process what had just happened. Outside, the city gleamed in the fading light, oblivious to the small catastrophe unfolding in her carefully ordered life. Her phone buzzed again. Text message. Maya. Girls' night tomorrow? Drinks and bad decisions? Lena typed back slowly. Can't. Have dinner plans. Need you to come with me. We'll explain later. Please? The response came immediately, cryptic and concerning. I'm in. Details ASAP. Lena gathered her things and headed for the elevator, hyper-aware of her surroundings in a way she'd never been before. The cleaning crew nodded as she passed. A lawyer she vaguely recognized held the elevator door. Everything seemed normal. But Adrian's words echoed in her head. People watching, making sure she was safe. She scanned the lobby as she exited, saw nothing unusual, just the evening crowd, workers heading home, a few people lingering by the coffee shop, a man in a dark jacket reading a newspaper by the entrance. Except nobody read physical newspapers anymore. Lena's steps faltered. The man didn't look up, but something about his stillness felt deliberate, practiced. She forced herself to keep walking, out through the revolving doors into the October evening where the wind had teeth. Her usual train stop was 2 blocks south. She started walking, resisting the urge to look back. Halfway there, she gave in, turned her head just slightly. The man from the lobby was following her, maintaining distance, not obvious about it, but definitely following. Lena's pulse spiked. She picked up her pace, not quite running, but close. The train station appeared ahead, familiar and safe. She practically threw herself down the stairs, swiping her card with shaking hands. The platform was crowded with rush-hour commuters. She pushed into the middle of the throng, putting bodies between herself and the stairs. When the train arrived, she let the first wave board, then slipped on at the last second, watching the doors close. The man in the dark jacket stood on the platform, watching her through the window. He didn't look angry, didn't look threatening. He looked professional. The train pulled away, and Lana collapsed into a seat, heart hammering. Protection, Adrian had said. People watching to make sure she was safe. Was that what this was? Protection? Or surveillance? Her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered, "Did you really think you could lose him?" Not Adrian this time. A woman's voice, amused. "Dimitri's been doing this for 15 years. You're not going to shake him on the red line." Who is this? Someone who works for Adrian. He asked me to check in, make sure you got home safe. The woman's tone shifted, became more businesslike. The man following you is part of your security detail. He's not a threat. But apparently you running from him is causing a problem, so I'm calling to tell you to stop. Security detail, Lena repeated. I didn't agree to... You don't have to agree. It's happening regardless. Dimitri will follow you home. He'll make sure no one else does. Then he'll position himself outside your building for the night. You won't see him, but he'll be there. Tomorrow, someone else will take the day shift. This is how it works now. For how long? Until Adrian says otherwise. The woman paused. Look, I know this is a lot, but he's serious about keeping you safe. Let us do our job, okay? Don't make it harder than it needs to be. Can I at least know your name? Elena. I handle communications for Adrian's security operations. She said it like it was a normal job, like she was describing accounting or HR. You'll probably talk to me again. Try not to run from Dimitri anymore. He's sensitive about his tracking skills. The line went dead. Lena wanted to throw her phone across the train car, wanted to scream, wanted to wake up and discover the last week had been a bizarre stress dream brought on by too many quarterly reports. Instead, she rode the train to her stop, climbed the stairs to street level, and walked the 4 blocks to her apartment building. She didn't look for Dimitri, didn't acknowledge the presence she could now feel tracking her movements like a shadow. Inside her apartment, she locked the door, dropped her bag, and called Maya. Please tell me you're free right now. Always free for you. What's wrong? Maya's voice sharpened with concern. You sound weird. I need to tell you something, and you're going to think I've lost my mind. Come over, I'll order Thai. 45 minutes later, Lena sat on Maya's couch with pad Thai she couldn't eat, trying to explain the unexplainable. So let me get this straight. Maya set down her wine glass, eyes wide. The guy from Saturday night, the one you kissed, he's apparently some kind of... What, exactly? I don't know. He wouldn't say on the phone, just that he's someone dangerous and that people noticed me with him, and now I need protection. Lena pulled her knees to her chest. There's a man watching my apartment right now, Maya. A man with a Russian name who's apparently been following me all week without me noticing. Okay. Maya processed this. And you agreed to have dinner with him tomorrow? I need answers. You need a restraining order. Based on what? He hasn't actually done anything illegal. The roses were a gift. The wine was a gift. The security detail is... Lena laughed without humor. I don't even know what that is legally. Unwanted protection? It's stalking. It's controlling. It's every red flag ever invented having a conference call. Maya moved closer, taking Lena's hands. Babe, listen to me. This man, Adrian, whatever, he's dangerous. He admitted it himself. You need to go to the police. And tell them what? A man I kissed is worried about my safety and hired security without asking? They'll think I'm paranoid. Are the flowers still at your office? Lena nodded. The wine at your apartment? Yes. Then you have evidence he knows where you live and work. That's stalking. That's enough for at least a report. Maya squeezed her hands. Please, don't have dinner with him. Let's go to the police right now. Make this official before it gets worse. Lena wanted to agree. Wanted to let Maya handle this the way she handled everything, with righteous anger and absolute certainty about right and wrong. But something stopped her. Adrian had sounded genuine on the phone, not manipulative or cruel, just resigned, like he was dealing with a problem he didn't want but couldn't ignore. And if there really were people paying attention to her because of one stupid kiss, then running to the police wouldn't change that. Wouldn't make her safer. Might even make things worse if Adrian was the only thing standing between her and whoever these mysterious enemies were. One dinner, Lena said quietly. Let me hear what he has to say. If it's as bad as you think, we'll go to the police after, I promise. Maya looked like she wanted to argue. I'm coming with you. No negotiation. I already told him you were. And if he tries anything at all, we leave, immediately. Agreed. Maya pulled her into a hug, and Lena let herself lean into it, grateful for something solid in a world that had started tilting sideways. She went home around 11, half expecting Dmitri to materialize from the shadows and introduce himself. But the street remained empty, the night quiet. Inside her apartment, she poured a glass of the expensive wine, took one sip. It tasted like regret and bad decisions. She dumped the rest down the sink. Sleep didn't come easy. When it finally did, she dreamed of ice-gray eyes and hands in her hair, and a voice saying, "You don't know what you've done," over and over, until she woke up gasping. Saturday arrived overcast and cold. Lena spent the morning cleaning her apartment with aggressive focus, scrubbing counters that were already clean, organizing books that were already alphabetized, anything to keep her hands busy and her mind quiet. At 2 p.m., Maya showed up with coffee and determination. We're going shopping, she announced. If you're having dinner with a dangerous man, you're doing it in an outfit that says, I'm not intimidated by you. I am intimidated by him. Then we fake it. Maya pushed the coffee into Lena's hands. Come on, retail therapy and tactical fashion choices. My two specialties. They hit Michigan Avenue, Maya pulling her through boutiques Lena normally avoided. 3 stores and $200 later, Lena emerged with a burgundy dress that managed to be both professional and just slightly intimidating. High neck, long sleeves, but fitted enough to look intentional. There, Maya said with satisfaction. Now, you look like someone who knows exactly what she's doing. I don't know what I'm doing at all. That's what the dress is for. Confidence through fashion. It's science. By 6 p.m., Lena was dressed and trying not to throw up. Maya sat on her bed, already in her own armor, black pantsuit, heels that could double as weapons. Ready? Maya asked. No. Good answer. Let's go. Giordano's was packed with the Saturday crowd. Families, couples, tourists lured by the famous deep dish. The hostess led them to a booth in the back, away from the windows, and Lena wondered if Adrian had requested it specifically. He was already there. Lena's steps faltered at the sight of him. In the dim lighting of Apex, she'd registered danger and intensity. Here, under the restaurant's warm glow, she could see the details. Sharp cheekbones, a mouth that looked like it had forgotten how to smile, a scar, faint but visible, cutting through his left eyebrow. He stood as they approached, perfectly courteous, and Lena noticed the 2 men at the bar who were definitely with him. Not drinking, just watching. Lena. His eyes swept over her, something flickering in their depths that might have been approval. Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure I would. Yes, you were. He gestured to the booth. Please, sit. Maya slid in first, positioning herself between Adrian and Lena in a move that was both protective and obvious. Adrian noticed, but didn't comment. You must be Maya. He inclined his head slightly. I appreciate you being here. Lena trusts you. That matters. I'm here to make sure nothing happens to her. Maya said flatly. Let's be clear about that. Then we want the same thing. Adrian settled back into his seat, posture relaxed but alert, like he was ready to move at any moment. Should we order first, or would you prefer I explain why you're here? Explain, Lena said. I don't think I could eat right now anyway. Adrian nodded slowly. I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to think I'm exaggerating or trying to frighten you. I'm not. What I'm about to say is just the reality I live in, the reality you're now part of, whether you want to be or not. He leaned forward slightly, and despite the crowded restaurant, it felt like they were suddenly very alone. I run an organization that operates outside legal channels. We deal in information, primarily. Protection. Enforcement. We don't sell drugs or traffic people or any of the things you're probably imagining. But we exist in the spaces where laws become flexible, where people with problems need solutions they can't get through official means. You're a criminal, Maya said. By the letter of the law, yes. By my own moral code, I provide a service that wouldn't exist otherwise. Adrian's expression didn't change. You can judge that however you want. It won't change the facts. Lena's hands were folded on the table, knuckles white. What does this have to do with me? I have enemies. People who would very much like to see me weakened, compromised, or dead. They watch me constantly, looking for leverage, looking for weak spots. His eyes met hers. Last Saturday, in front of a dozen witnesses, I let a stranger kiss me. Then I asked for her name. That hasn't happened before. Ever. So they think I'm important to you, Lena said slowly. They know you're important to me, Adrian corrected. Because I wouldn't have asked if you weren't. I wouldn't have bothered learning where you work or where you live. I certainly wouldn't have assigned protection if you meant nothing. You made this worse. Maya's voice shook with anger. You could have ignored her, let her walk away. Instead, you sent flowers and wine and stalkers and dragged her into your world. You're right. Adrian didn't flinch from the accusation. I could have, should have, but I didn't. Why? Lena asked. Why didn't you just let me go? The question hung in the air between them. Adrian was quiet for a long moment, his expression unreadable. I don't know, he said finally. I've been asking myself that all week. There's no good reason, no logical explanation. You're exactly the kind of complication I've spent 15 years avoiding. His jaw tightened. But you kissed me like you were terrified and brave at the same time. And something about that, about you, I couldn't forget it. Couldn't dismiss it. So I didn't. That's not good enough, Maya snapped. I know, but it's the truth. Adrian shifted his attention back to Lena. I made a choice, a selfish one, and now you're dealing with the consequences. So I'm here to tell you exactly what those consequences are and how we're going to manage them. A waitress appeared, all smiles and recommendations. Adrian ordered for the table without asking, appetizers, entrees, wine, the confidence of someone used to making decisions for others. The waitress disappeared and the bubble of privacy returned. There are 3 organizations currently paying attention to you, Adrian continued. The Volkov family out of New York, a cartel with connections in Latin America, and a businessman named Chen who operates out of California. All 3 have reasons to hurt me if they can find the right pressure point. Lena felt sick. And I'm the pressure point. Potentially. They're still gathering information, trying to determine if you're a genuine connection or just a random encounter. He paused. That's the window we're in right now, the time before they make a decision about what to do with you. What happens after they decide? Depends on what they conclude. If they think you're meaningless, they'll lose interest. You'll be safe. Adrian's tone suggested he didn't believe this option was likely. If they think you matter, they'll try to use you. Kidnapping is the most direct approach. But there are others. The food arrived in a flurry of plates and pleasant small talk from the waitress that felt surreal against the conversation they were having. Lena stared at the pizza, unable to imagine eating. How long? Maya asked quietly. How long does she have to live like this? Until I convince them she's not worth the effort, or until I eliminate the threat entirely. Adrian said it casually, like he was discussing quarterly projections. The second option is more permanent but takes time. Eliminate, Lena repeated. You mean kill them? I mean, remove them as variables. How that happens depends on the situation. He cut into his pizza with precise movements. Eat, both of you. You need your strength, and the food here is excellent. Maya looked like she wanted to throw her plate at his head. Lena picked up a fork mechanically, forcing herself to take a bite. It tasted like cardboard. I want to go home, she whispered. I want to go back to my apartment and my boring job and pretend none of this is happening. You can't. Adrian set down his fork, meeting her eyes steadily. That version of your life ended last Saturday. I'm sorry, but pretending otherwise won't keep you safe. Then what will? Letting me protect you. Following the protocols my people have in place. Being smart about your movements and your surroundings. He paused. And trusting that I have no intention of letting anything happen to you. Why should I trust you? Lena's voice cracked. You're the reason I'm in danger in the first place. You're right. But I'm also the only reason you're still safe. The Volkov family had someone in position to grab you Thursday night. Dmitry intercepted them 3 blocks from your apartment. You never even knew. The words sucked the air from her lungs. What? They were testing your security, seeing how close they could get. Dmitry made sure they didn't get close enough. Adrian's expression hardened. This is real, Lena. These people don't make empty threats. They act. And if you're not careful, they'll act on you. Maya grabbed Lena's hand under the table, squeezing hard. What do you want from me? Lena asked. What happens now? Now you live your life as normally as possible while my people keep you safe. You go to work, see your friends, maintain your routine, but you stay alert. You don't take risks, and you check in with Elena every evening so we know you're okay. For how long? As long as it takes. Lena pushed her plate away, no longer pretending to eat. This is insane. All of this. You understand that, right? This isn't normal. This isn't how people live. No, Adrian agreed. It's how I live. And now temporarily, it's how you live too. The conversation continued through dinner, Maya asking pointed questions that Adrian answered with unsettling honesty. By the time they left the restaurant, Lena's head was spinning with protocols and procedures, with names of people she needed to avoid and signs she needed to watch for. On the sidewalk outside, Adrian stopped them. One more thing. He looked at Lena. My number is in your phone. If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you call me. Immediately. Not Elena. Not Dmitry. Me. Why would I call you? Because unlike them, I'll drop everything to answer. He said it simply, like it was obvious. You're my responsibility now, Lena. I take that seriously. I didn't ask to be your responsibility. I know. Something flickered across his face, too quick to read. But here we are. A black car pulled up to the curb. Adrian's people from the bar materialized from somewhere, flanking him smoothly. Dmitry will make sure you both get home safely, Adrian said. Good night, Lena. Maya. He was gone before either of them could respond. They stood on the sidewalk in silence. Finally, Maya spoke. We're going to the police, she said. First thing Monday morning. This is too much. He's too much. I don't care what he says about protecting you. This is kidnapping dressed up in expensive suits and pretty words. But Lena was remembering Thursday night, Dmitry intercepting someone 3 blocks from her apartment, someone who'd been planning to grab her. She was remembering Adrian's eyes when he'd said, I take that seriously, like he meant it, like keeping her safe wasn't just a responsibility, but something almost personal. 1 week, she heard herself say. Let's see what happens in 1 week. If nothing changes, if this all feels the same, we'll go to the police. Deal? Maya looked like she wanted to argue. 1 week, that's it. They climbed into the cab Dmitry had already hailed, and Lena watched the city pass by her window. Normal Saturday night, normal people doing normal things. And somewhere in that city, people were discussing whether she was worth kidnapping, whether she mattered enough to a man she'd kissed once to be used as leverage against him. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Thank you for coming tonight. For what it's worth, I wish none of this was happening. Alina stared at the message. Then, against every logical instinct, she replied, Me too. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Get some rest. Dmitry says you look exhausted. Despite everything, Lena almost smiled. Tell Dimitri to stop watching me so closely. That's literally his job. Your job is terrifying. Yes, I know. The conversation ended there. Lena put her phone away and leaned her head against Maya's shoulder, feeling the weight of the last week pressing down on her like water. She'd wanted one night of being reckless. Turned out reckless had consequences that didn't end when the sun came up. And now she was living them whether she wanted to or not. The week that followed felt like living in a fishbowl where the water kept getting murkier. Lena went to work Monday morning with her shoulders tight and her awareness cranked to maximum. Every person on the train felt suspect. Every glance in her direction felt loaded with meaning. She caught herself checking over her shoulder so many times that Sarah asked if she'd developed a nervous tic. "I'm fine," Lena lied, forcing a smile. "Just didn't sleep well." That much was true. She'd managed maybe 4 hours, startling awake at every sound from the hallway, her mind conjuring threats from the ordinary noises of apartment living. The Meridian audit consumed her mornings. The numbers should have been soothing, clean data, logical patterns, the kind of work she could lose herself in. But she kept thinking about Adrian's world, about organizations that operated outside legal channels, about information and enforcement and all the shadows those words implied. At lunch, her phone buzzed. Text from Elena. Check-in. "Everything okay?" Lena stared at the message. This was her life now. Daily check-ins with a woman who coordinated security for a criminal. She typed back reluctantly. "Fine. At work." Nothing unusual. "Dimitri says you kept looking over your shoulder on the train this morning. Relax. We're watching. You're safe." The idea that Dimitri had been close enough to notice her nervous glances, but invisible enough that she hadn't seen him, was somehow worse than if she'd spotted him directly. "Hard to relax when I know I'm being followed. You're being protected. There's a difference." Lena put her phone away without responding. The distinction felt semantic. Wednesday brought an unexpected complication in the form of Marcus stopping by her cubicle with a man Lena had never seen before. "Lena, this is Richard Chen. He's considering a partnership with Meridian and wanted to meet the analyst handling their audit." Marcus smiled, oblivious to the way Lena's blood had turned to ice water. "Richard, this is Lena Hart, one of our best." Chen. Adrian had mentioned a businessman named Chen operating out of California, one of 3 organizations paying attention to her. The man extending his hand was in his 40s, impeccably dressed, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Miss Hart, a pleasure." "Mr. Chen," Lena shook his hand, proud that hers wasn't trembling. "I didn't realize you were meeting with Meridian. Last-minute opportunity. Your boss speaks very highly of your work." Chen's eyes swept over her desk, taking in details with the same calculated assessment Adrian had used. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all. I was just reviewing some quarterly projections." "She's being modest," Marcus interjected. Lena's work on the Henderson account last year saved them from a significant compliance issue. She's got an eye for patterns most people miss. "Valuable skill." Chen's smile widened fractionally. "Perhaps we could discuss Meridian's financials over coffee sometime. I'd love to hear your professional assessment." Every instinct Lena had screamed danger. This wasn't coincidence. Chen showing up at her office, asking about Meridian, suggesting private meetings. This was testing, probing, seeing how accessible she was. "I appreciate the offer, but I make it a policy not to discuss client accounts outside official channels." Lena kept her voice professional, detached. "Ethics regulations. I'm sure you understand." "Of course. Very professional." Chen produced a business card from his jacket. "In case you change your mind, or if you ever find yourself in need of new opportunities. I'm always looking for talented analysts." He placed the card on her desk with deliberate precision, right next to her keyboard where she couldn't miss it. After they left, Lena stared at the card like it might bite her. Richard Chen, West Coast Consulting. A phone number. An email. Nothing that screamed criminal enterprise. She took a photo of it and texted it to the number Adrian had given her. "This man came to my office today. Said his name is Richard Chen. Is this the same Chen you mentioned?" The response came within seconds. "Yes." "Don't engage with him. Don't accept any invitations. Don't be alone with him under any circumstances. He wants to discuss Meridian's financials over coffee. He wants to get you alone in a secondary location. The answer is no." Lena's hands shook as she typed back. He came to my workplace. How did he even know I work here? Same way I did. You're not hard to find, Lena. I told you that. This is too much. I can't do this. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Her phone rang instead. Are you okay? Adrian's voice, sharp with concern. No, I'm not okay. There's a man who wants to hurt me standing in my office talking to my boss about quarterly projections like it's completely normal. Lena kept her voice low, hyper-aware of the thin cubicle walls. This is insane, Adrian. This whole situation is insane. I know. I'm sorry. He sounded like he meant it. Listen to me. Chen is testing boundaries, seeing how protected you are, how aware you are. You handled it perfectly by refusing the coffee. He'll report back that you're cautious. Is that good or bad? It's neutral, which is exactly what we want right now. Adrian paused. Where are you? My cubicle. Why? I need you to do something for me. Get up, walk to the bathroom or the break room, somewhere you can talk without being overheard. Lena grabbed her phone and headed for the women's restroom, locking herself in a stall. Okay, I'm alone. Chen coming to your office means the timeline just accelerated. He's not content to wait and watch anymore. He's actively probing. Adrian's voice had taken on the tone she was beginning to recognize, the one he used when he was thinking several moves ahead. I'm going to increase your security. Starting today, you'll have 2 people on you instead of 1. Adrian, I'm also going to pick you up from work tonight. We need to talk about next steps, and I'd rather do it somewhere secure. I can't just leave with you. Maya's expecting me to check in. She already thinks this whole thing is, then bring Maya. I'll drive you both wherever you want to go afterward. He cut through her protest smoothly. But this conversation needs to happen face to face. Chen making direct contact changes things. Lena pressed her forehead against the cool metal of the stall door. What time? 6. I'll be outside your building. How will I know which car? You'll know. He hung up before she could argue. The afternoon dragged. Lena tried to focus on work, on the numbers that usually made sense, but her mind kept circling back to Chen's calculating eyes and Adrian's warning. Secondary location. The clinical way he'd said it, like kidnapping was just another business transaction. At 5:30, she texted Maya. Adrian is picking me up from work. Says we need to talk. Can you meet me? Lena. No, absolutely not. He says I can bring you. He'll drive us anywhere we want after. This is how people end up on true crime podcasts. Maya, please. Chen showed up at my office today. A long pause. Then, the Chen? The one Adrian mentioned? Yes. I'm getting an Uber to your building right now. Do not get in a car with Adrian alone. I'll be there in 20. Lena spent the remaining time finishing up the Meridian audit, moving through the motions automatically while her brain ran disaster scenarios. At 6 p.m. exactly, she gathered her things and headed for the elevator. Maya was waiting in the lobby, arms crossed, expression thunderous. This is a terrible idea. I know. We should go to the police right now instead. I know that too. But you're doing it anyway. Yes. Maya sighed explosively. You're the most frustrating person I've ever met. You know that? They pushed through the revolving doors into the November evening. Chicago had turned properly cold, the wind off the lake cutting through Lena's coat like it wasn't there. A line of cars idled along the curb. Ubers, taxis, people waiting for rides. At the end of the block, a black Mercedes sat with its engine running. Adrian leaned against the passenger door, hands in his pockets, looking like he'd stepped out of some European fashion magazine. He straightened when he saw them, opening the back door with smooth precision. Lena, Maya. He nodded to each of them. Thank you for trusting me. We don't trust you, Maya said flatly. We're here because Lena's apparently lost her sense of self-preservation. Let's be clear about that. Fair enough? Adrian gestured to the car. Please. The interior was exactly what Lena expected. Leather seats, privacy glass, the kind of quiet money that didn't need to announce itself. She slid in, Maya right behind her. Adrian took the front passenger seat, and the driver, a woman with sharp features and sharper eyes, pulled into traffic without a word. This is Yuki, Adrian said. She handles most of my transport operations. Yuki, this is Lena and Maya. Yuki's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. The one from Apex. Yes. Yuki didn't sound impressed. She doesn't look like the type to cause this much trouble. I'm not trying to cause trouble, Lena protested. I didn't ask for any of this. And yet, here we are. Yuki took a turn too fast, forcing a taxi to brake. Chen showing up at her office. That's bold. It's escalation. Adrian half turned in his seat to look at Lena, which is why we need to discuss options. Where do you want to have this conversation? Somewhere public, Maya said immediately, with witnesses. The Signature Lounge, Adrian suggested. 96th floor of the Hancock building. Public. Plenty of witnesses, and private enough for sensitive conversation. Does that work? Lena nodded, not trusting her voice. The drive took 15 minutes through evening traffic. Yuki drove with aggressive competence, weaving between lanes, running yellows, making the kind of time that suggested she'd done this route 1,000 times before. In the front seat, Adrian was silent, his attention on his phone, fingers moving across the screen with rapid precision. The Signature Lounge commanded a view of the entire city. Floor-to-ceiling windows, dim lighting, the kind of quiet elegance that came with being 96 stories above the problems of ordinary people. Adrian led them to a corner table, far from other patrons, with sightlines to every entrance. He ordered drinks without asking what they wanted. When the server left, he folded his hands on the table and looked at Lena with uncomfortable directness. Chen's visit changes the equation, he said without preamble. It means he's moved from observation to active engagement. Next step is typically an approach, an offer. What kind of offer? Lena asked. Money, usually. A job opportunity. Something that requires you to meet him somewhere private, somewhere away from your normal security. Adrian's jaw tightened. Once you're isolated, extraction becomes significantly easier. Extraction, Maya repeated. You mean kidnapping? Yes. The drinks arrived. Lena downed half her Manhattan before the server had finished setting down Maya's wine. So what do I do? Lena asked. How do I make this stop? You can't make it stop, not directly, but we can make you less appealing as a target. Adrian leaned back, that calculating look settling over his features. There are two approaches. First option, you disappear. New city, new identity, new life. I have resources that can make that happen cleanly. You'd be safe, but you'd also be leaving everything behind. Everything, Lena echoed. My job, my friends, my entire life. Yes. And the second option? You stay. But we make it clear that touching you comes with consequences severe enough to outweigh any potential benefit. Adrian's eyes hardened. We make an example out of anyone who tries. Maya set down her wine glass hard enough that other patrons glanced over. You're talking about killing people. I'm talking about protecting Lena. How that manifests depends entirely on what her enemies choose to do. Adrian didn't flinch from the accusation. You wanted options. These are the only ones that guarantee her safety. There has to be another way, Lena said. Something that doesn't involve me running away or you murdering people. If there is, I haven't found it. Adrian's voice softened fractionally. I've been doing this for 15 years, Lena. I've seen every variation of this situation. It always ends one of two ways. The target disappears or the threat is eliminated. There's no middle ground where everyone walks away happy. The city glittered below them, oblivious and beautiful. Lena thought about her apartment, her color-coded calendar, her meal prep Sundays. The life that had felt suffocating 2 weeks ago now seemed precious and fragile. How long would I have to disappear for? She asked quietly. Minimum 2 years, possibly longer if Chen or the others remain active. Adrian watched her carefully. It's not a temporary solution, Lena. It's permanent. So I lose everything either way. Either I run or I stay and watch you hurt people on my behalf. Yes. The honesty of it was almost worse than a lie would have been. I need time, Lena said. I can't make this decision right now. You have 48 hours. After that, I'm making the decision for you. Adrian's tone left no room for argument. I won't let you be taken, Lena, so either you choose how to stay safe or I choose for you. You can't just, I can, and I will. He met her eyes steadily. You might hate me for it, but you'll be alive to hate me. That's the only thing that matters. Maya grabbed Lena's hand under the table, squeezing hard enough to hurt. We need a minute. Alone. Adrian stood smoothly. I'll be at the bar. Take all the time you need. Once he was out of earshot, Maya turned to Lena with panic in her eyes. We're leaving. Right now. We're going straight to the police and telling them everything. And what do I say? A criminal is trying to protect me from other criminals, and I'd like to file a complaint? Lena laughed without humor. They'll think I'm insane, Maya, or involved. Better insane than dead. Adrian won't let me die. Adrian is the problem. Maya's voice rose, then dropped when other patrons looked over. Lena, listen to yourself. You're defending him. The man who stalked you, who's threatening to make decisions about your life without your input, who just casually discussed murdering people like it's a normal Tuesday activity. I'm not defending him, I'm just… Lena struggled for words. He's being honest, brutally honest. And maybe that's worse, but at least I know where I stand. You stand in danger because of him. No, I'm in danger because I was stupid and reckless and kissed a stranger in a bar. Lena pulled her hand free, wrapping both around her drink. Adrian didn't ask for this any more than I did. He's just dealing with it. By threatening to control your life. By trying to keep me alive. Lena drained the rest of her Manhattan. Look, I know you're scared. I'm terrified. But running to the police won't fix this. It might even make it worse if Chen thinks I'm cooperating with law enforcement. Maya's expression crumbled. I don't want to lose you. You won't. I promise. Lena wished she felt as certain as she sounded. Just give me the 48 hours. Let me think about this. If I decide to disappear, I'll do it properly. And if I decide to stay… If you decide to stay, you're accepting Adrian's world. You understand that, right? You can't stay and keep your hands clean. Lena thought about Chen's calculating eyes, about Thursday night when Dmitri had intercepted someone 3 blocks from her apartment, about the casual way Adrian had said extraction, like her kidnapping was just a logistical challenge to be overcome. I don't think my hands are clean anymore anyway, she said quietly. Adrian returned a few minutes later, reading their faces with uncomfortable accuracy. Have you decided? Not yet, Lena said, but I'll tell you by Friday. Friday works. He signaled the server for the check. I'll have Yuki drive you both home. Tomorrow you'll have 2 people on security instead of 1. You'll notice them more, but that's intentional. I want Chen to see that you're protected. Won't that make me more of a target? No, it'll make you more expensive. Risk versus reward. If the cost of taking you is too high, they'll look for easier pressure points. Adrian stood, offering his hand to help Lena from her seat. She took it automatically, then immediately regretted the gesture when she felt the strength in his grip. The ride back to Lena's apartment was silent. Maya stared out the window, radiating disapproval. Adrian made phone calls in rapid Russian that Lena didn't understand but that sounded decisive and final. When Yuki pulled up to Lena's building, Adrian walked them to the door. The 2 men across the street, he said quietly. That's your night security. Don't acknowledge them, but know they're there. If anything feels wrong, if you see anything unusual, you call me. Not Elena, not Dmitri. Me. Understood? Yes. Good. He hesitated like he wanted to say something else. For what it's worth, I am sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. Then he was gone, sliding back into the Mercedes, leaving Lena and Maya standing in the November cold. Inside her apartment, Maya made tea. Neither of them wanted while Lena changed into sweats and tried to process the last 2 hours. You're really considering staying, Maya said. Not a question. I don't know what I'm considering. Lena curled into her couch, pulling a blanket around her shoulders. Running means starting over completely. New city, new name, no contact with anyone I know. That's not a life. That's witness protection without the legal framework. And staying means what? Becoming Adrian's? What exactly? His responsibility? His problem? His possession? The word landed like a slap. Lena flinched. He doesn't see me that way. Doesn't he? He makes decisions about your security without asking. He shows up wherever he wants. He's literally threatening to make your choice for you if you don't decide fast enough. Maya set down her mug hard enough to slosh tea onto the coffee table. That's not protection, Lena. That's ownership. Then what would you have me do? Really? Lena met her friend's eyes. Because I'm out of good options here. Chen knows where I work. He knows where I live. Adrian's people are the only thing standing between me and whatever Chen has planned. So what's the alternative? Maya was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, she admitted finally. I just know I hate this. I hate watching you get pulled into something dark and not being able to stop it. I hate it too. Lena's voice broke slightly. I just wanted one night of being someone different, and now you're living in a thriller novel. Maya moved to the couch, pulling Lena into a hug. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. You know that, right? Even if I think you're making a terrible mistake. I know. They sat like that for a while, the apartment quiet except for the hum of traffic from the street below. Eventually, Maya left, extracting promises that Lena would call if anything felt wrong, that she wouldn't make any decisions without talking it through first. Alone, Lena checked her phone. 2 missed texts, 1 from Elena. Dmitri and Marcus are on tonight. Tomorrow, you'll have Yuki during the day and Victor at night. They're good. Trust them. The second was from Adrian. You handled today well. Sleep if you can. Tomorrow will be easier. Lena didn't respond to either. She brushed her teeth, washed her face, went through the motions of her nighttime routine like they could restore some normalcy to a life that had gone completely off the rails. In bed, she stared at the ceiling and thought about choices. About the person she'd been 2 weeks ago, who'd never broken a rule, who'd organized her spice rack alphabetically and called it rebellion. That person felt very far away now. Her phone buzzed one more time. Another text from Adrian. I know you're not asleep. Stop thinking in circles. It won't help. Despite everything, Lena smiled slightly. How do you know I'm thinking in circles? Because I know you. You analyze, you plan, you look for the logical answer. A pause. There isn't one this time. Sometimes you just have to make a choice and deal with the consequences. Easy for you to say. You're used to this world. I wasn't always. Once I had to make the same choice you're making now. Stay or run, safety or freedom. What did you choose? I stayed. Learned to navigate the darkness instead of running from it. Another pause. I don't regret it, but I also don't recommend it lightly. Lena set her phone on the nightstand, Adrian's words echoing in her head. Stay or run, safety or freedom. Thursday morning arrived too soon, dragging Lena from dreams about ice-gray eyes and hands that held too tight. She went through her routine mechanically. Shower, coffee, the train to work. This time she spotted her security immediately. Yuki, dressed in civilian clothes, sitting 3 rows back with a magazine she wasn't reading. At work, the Meridian audit was finally complete. Lena compiled her findings, formatted the report, sent it to Marcus for review. The normalcy of it felt surreal against everything else happening in her life. Lunch came and went. In the afternoon, Marcus stopped by with news. Chen's people called. They want to schedule a follow-up meeting about Meridian, asked specifically if you'd be available to present the audit findings. Marcus looked pleased. It's a great opportunity, Lena. Chen's organization does significant volume. Having their business would be, I can't, Lena interrupted. I'm sorry, Marcus. I can't take that meeting. Her boss's expression shifted from pleased to confused. Why not? This could be a major account. Personal conflict of interest. I can't discuss the details, but I need to recuse myself from anything involving Chen's organization. Lena kept her voice steady, professional. I should have mentioned it earlier. I apologize. Marcus studied her for a long moment. This wouldn't have anything to do with those expensive flowers you got last week, would it? And the man who hand-delivered them? Lena's stomach dropped. That's separate. Is it? Marcus leaned against her cubicle wall, his expression concerned now rather than confused. Lena, you've been jumpy all week. You keep looking over your shoulder. And now you're refusing a career-building opportunity without explanation. If something's wrong, you can tell me. Nothing's wrong. I need to maintain professional boundaries, that's all. Professional boundaries don't usually involve couriers in $1,000 suits. Marcus crossed his arms. Look, I'm not trying to pry into your personal life, but if there's something happening that affects your work, I need to know about it. Before Lena could formulate a response, Her phone buzzed. Text from Adrian. Chen's people are at your office. Don't go with them. Stay in public spaces. I'm 10 minutes away. Her blood turned to ice. I need to take this. I'm sorry. She grabbed her phone and headed for the bathroom, locking herself in a stall with shaking hands. Another text arrived. They're asking Marcus about you. Dimitri's in the lobby. If you need to leave, he'll extract you. Extract me? From my own office? If necessary. Yes. Lena's heart hammered. This was her workplace. Her normal, safe, boring workplace, where the most dramatic thing that happened was someone stealing labeled lunch from the communal fridge. She couldn't let Adrian's world bleed into this space any more than it already had. Taking a deep breath, she composed herself and walked back to her cubicle. Two men stood with Marcus, both in expensive suits, both radiating the same predatory patience she'd seen in Adrian. One of them smiled when he saw her. Miss Hart, we were just asking about you. I'm afraid I'm not available for meetings right now. Lena's voice came out steadier than she felt. If you'd like to schedule something through official channels, you can contact our office manager. We were hoping for something less formal, just coffee. A chance to discuss Meridian's projections in detail. The man's smile didn't waver. Chen thinks very highly of your analytical skills. I'm flattered, but my calendar is full for the foreseeable future. Lena moved to her desk, putting it between them. A barrier, flimsy, but better than nothing. If there's nothing else, I have a deadline to meet. The men exchanged glances. Something passed between them, a decision made without words. Of course, we wouldn't want to keep you. The first man produced a card identical to the one Chen had left, in case you change your mind. They left, but Lena could feel their assessment lingering like smoke. Marcus waited until they were out of earshot. Lena, what the hell is going on? I can't explain. I'm sorry. Lena's hand shook as she gathered her things. I need to leave early today. Personal emergency. Lena, please, Marcus, I promise I'll explain when I can, but right now I just need to go. She didn't wait for permission, just grabbed her bag and headed for the elevators, hyper-aware of every person in the hallway, every shadow that moved wrong. Dimitri was waiting in the lobby, exactly where Adrian had said. He fell into step beside her without a word, guiding her through the revolving doors to where Yuki had the car idling at the curb. Adrian was in the back seat. Get in, he said quietly. Lena climbed in, her whole body trembling. The car pulled into traffic before her door was fully closed. They're getting aggressive, Adrian said. That was a test, to see if you'd go with them willingly. I didn't. Lena's voice shook. I refused. I did exactly what you said. I know. You did well. Adrian's hand found hers squeezed once. But they're not going to stop, Lena. Chen's made his move. Now it's my turn. What does that mean? It means the waiting is over. Adrian's eyes were cold as winter. It means I'm going to send a message that anyone who touches you answers to me, personally. Lena wanted to ask what kind of message. Wanted to know what personally meant in Adrian's world. But looking at his face, at the absolute certainty there, she wasn't sure she wanted the answer. The car drove through Chicago as the sun set, and Lena realized she'd run out of time to decide. The choice had already been made. She just had to figure out if she could live with it. Yuki drove them to a building Lena had never noticed before, tucked between a construction site and what looked like an abandoned warehouse in a part of the city where gentrification hadn't quite reached, the kind of place people didn't stumble into by accident. Where are we? Lena asked as Adrian helped her from the car. Somewhere safe. Somewhere Chen's people can't follow without me knowing about it. He kept his hand at the small of her back, guiding her toward a steel door that looked like it hadn't been opened in years. It swung inward at his touch, revealing a stairwell lit by industrial lighting. They climbed 3 flights in silence. At the top, another door opened into a loft space that contradicted everything the exterior suggested. Exposed brick, high ceilings, furniture that looked like it cost more than Lena's annual salary. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, but the glass was tinted dark enough that no one could see in. This is one of my safe houses, Adrian said, shrugging out of his jacket. There are 4 others scattered throughout the city. No one knows about this one except my inner circle. Lena turned slowly, taking it in. A kitchen that gleamed with stainless steel and granite. A living area with leather couches that looked barely used. Doorways leading to what she assumed were bedrooms, everything pristine and cold and expensive. How long am I staying here? Until I've dealt with Chen. Adrian moved to the kitchen, pulling a bottle of whiskey from a cabinet. Could be a few days, could be longer. I can't just disappear from my life for days. I have work. You have a target on your back. Adrian poured 2 glasses, slid one across the counter to her. Marcus will be told you had a family emergency. Your friends will receive the same message. Elena's already handling it. Lena stared at the whiskey, anger rising hot and fast in her chest. You don't get to make those decisions for me. I just did. Adrian's voice was flat, unapologetic. Chen's people showing up at your office, asking you to coffee, trying to isolate you, that was the precursor. Next step is the actual attempt. I'm not waiting around for them to snatch you off the street. So your solution is to lock me up here? My solution is to keep you alive while I remove the threat. He downed his whiskey in one smooth motion. You can hate me for it if you want, but you'll be breathing. This is kidnapping. You understand that, right? You're literally holding me against my will. No, I'm protecting you despite your inability to see the danger you're in. Adrian set down his glass with controlled precision. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. They stared at each other across the kitchen island, the tension thick enough to choke on. Adrian's jaw was tight, his eyes hard, but underneath it Lena could see something else. Fear, maybe. Or the closest thing to it someone like him allowed. Why? She asked quietly. Why does this matter so much to you? I'm nobody. Just some random woman who kissed you on a dare. Why not just let me disappear or let Chen take his shot and be done with it? Adrian was silent for a long moment, his fingers drumming against the counter in that tell she was learning to recognize. When he spoke, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. Because I'm the one who put you in danger. Because you walked into Apex in a dress that didn't fit your personality, with fear in your eyes and your shoulders squared like you were going into battle. And you kissed me anyway. He paused. Because for 15 years I've been careful, so careful. And then you showed up and I stopped being careful, and now you're paying for my mistake. That's guilt talking, not actual concern. Maybe. Adrian's eyes met hers. Does the distinction matter? Before Lena could answer, her phone rang. Maya's name on the screen. She answered automatically. Where are you? Maya's voice was sharp with panic. I went by your apartment. You're not there. Your office said you left early with some kind of emergency but wouldn't tell me what. Lena, what's happening? Lena glanced at Adrian. He shook his head once. A clear message. Don't tell her. I'm safe, Lena said. I can't explain right now, but I'm safe. I promise. That's not good enough. Where are you? Maya, please, I need you to trust me. I'll call you tomorrow and explain everything. The lie tasted bitter. I just need tonight to figure some things out. You're with him, aren't you? Adrian. Maya's voice cracked. He's got you somewhere and you can't tell me where. Lena, this is textbook abduction behavior. Please just tell me where you are and I'll come get you. Lena's throat tightened. I can't. I'm sorry. Then I'm calling the police. Don't. The word came out sharper than intended. Maya, if you call the police, you'll make this worse. You'll put me in more danger. Please just give me 24 hours. If you don't hear from me by tomorrow night, then call them. But please, not yet. The silence on the other end lasted forever. Finally, Maya spoke, her voice small and scared in a way Lena had never heard before. 24 hours. Then I'm burning this whole thing down to find you. The line went dead. Lena set her phone on the counter, blinking back tears. She thinks you've kidnapped me. Technically, she's not wrong. Adrian refilled his glass. Though my motives are purer than she's imagining. Are they? Lena finally picked up her own whiskey, took a sip that burned all the way down. Because from here, it feels like you're making all the same moves Chen would, isolating me, controlling my communication, deciding what I can and can't do. The difference is, I'm going to let you leave when this is over. Chen wouldn't. Adrian's voice hardened. But if you want to walk out right now, test that theory, be my guest. The door's unlocked. Yuki will drive you anywhere you want to go. He gestured toward the entrance, and Lena realized with a jolt that he meant it. This wasn't a bluff or a manipulation. He was actually giving her the choice. She looked at the door. At freedom, whatever that meant now. Then back at Adrian, standing in his expensive kitchen with shadows under his eyes and tension in every line of his body. If I leave, what happens? I can't protect you as effectively, but I'll try. I'll keep people on you, maintain your security detail. Hope that's enough. He paused. Probably won't be, though. Not if Chen's committed to taking you. And if I stay, I handle Chen permanently. You stay safe here until it's done. Adrian met her eyes. Then you decide if you want to go back to your life or if that's even possible anymore. Lena drained her whiskey, set the glass down with more force than necessary. I hate this. I hate every single thing about this situation. I know. I hate that you've taken over my life without asking, that you're making decisions about my safety like I don't get a vote, that you've dragged me into your world and now I can't find the exit. I know. But I also know that Chen's people would have grabbed me today if you hadn't been there, that I'm alive right now because of Dmitri and Yuki and your whole terrifying operation. She laughed, the sound brittle. So what does that make me? Smart for accepting your protection, or stupid for trusting the man who created the problem in the first place? Adrian rounded the counter, stopping close enough that she could see the silver flecks in his gray eyes. Probably both. Most survival decisions are. Comforting. I don't deal in comfort, I deal in reality. His hand came up, fingers gentle under her chin, tilting her face to his. You want the truth? Here it is. I should have walked away from you that night at Apex. Should have ignored your kiss, forgotten your name, let you disappear back into your safe little life. But I didn't. And now we're both dealing with the consequences. Why didn't you? Lena's voice came out barely above a whisper. What was it about me that made you stop being careful? I don't know. His thumb brushed across her jaw, the touch sending electricity down her spine. I've been trying to figure that out for 2 weeks. All I know is that when you walked away, I wanted to follow, and I never want to follow anyone. The honesty of it stole her breath. This close, she could see the exhaustion in his face, the tight control he kept over whatever he was actually feeling, could smell his cologne, something expensive and cold that somehow suited him perfectly. This is insane, she whispered. Yes. I should leave, walk out that door and never look back. Probably. But I'm not going to. No. Adrian's eyes searched hers. You're not. He kissed her, and it was nothing like the kiss at Apex. That had been about power and control. This was something else entirely, desperation and inevitability and the kind of chemistry that didn't care about logic or good decisions. Lena kissed him back, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. She could feel the restraint in him, the way he held back even as his mouth claimed hers, like he was afraid of breaking something, or maybe afraid of what it meant if he didn't. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian rested his forehead against hers. This is a terrible idea, he said. Add it to the list. He laughed, the sound rough and unexpected. You should eat something, then sleep. Tomorrow's going to be difficult. What happens tomorrow? I meet with Chen. Make it very clear that you're off limits. Adrian's voice went cold again, the softness evaporating. He'll either accept that or he won't. Either way, the situation resolves. Lena wanted to ask what resolves meant, wanted to know exactly what Adrian planned to do. But looking at his face, at the absolute certainty there, she wasn't sure she could handle the answer. He ordered food from somewhere that delivered to abandoned-looking buildings in questionable neighborhoods. Thai food, same as she'd had at Maya's that night that felt like years ago. They ate in silence, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on them. After, Adrian showed her to one of the bedrooms. Clean sheets, windows that overlooked the city, a bathroom stocked with toiletries still in their packaging. There are clothes in the closet if you need them. Elena keeps this place supplied. He paused in the doorway. Try to sleep. You're safe here. Where will you be? Making calls, planning tomorrow. His eyes softened slightly. I won't be far. If you need anything, just come find me. He closed the door, leaving Lena alone in a stranger's bedroom in a building she couldn't identify, her life completely out of her control. She should have been terrified, should have been planning escape routes or calling Maya back or doing any of the rational things a rational person would do in this situation. Instead, She showered using soap that smelled like someone else, changed into a t-shirt she found in the closet, and climbed into bed. Through the walls, she could hear Adrian's voice, low and commanding, speaking in that rapid Russian she couldn't understand. Her phone buzzed, text from Maya. "I'm trusting you. Don't make me regret it." Lena typed back slowly. "I won't. I promise. I love you. Love you too. Even when you're being an idiot." Another text came through, this one from Elena. "Dmitry and Victor are stationed outside the building. 4 more on perimeter watch. You're secure. Try to rest." And then, unexpectedly, a message from a number she didn't recognize but somehow knew. "Sleep well, Lena. Tomorrow changes everything." She stared at that last text for a long time before turning off her phone and letting exhaustion pull her under. The next morning arrived with pale sunlight filtering through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee from the kitchen. Lena found Adrian at the island, laptop open, surrounded by papers covered in writing she couldn't read. "Morning," he said without looking up. "There's coffee. Food in the refrigerator if you're hungry." Lena poured herself a cup, studying him. He looked like he hadn't slept. Same clothes as yesterday, shadows under his eyes darker than before, but his hands were steady on the keyboard, his focus absolute. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked. "No." "Adrian, I had work to do. I'll sleep when this is finished." He finally looked at her, and something in his expression made her chest tight. "The meeting with Chen is at 2. I'll be gone most of the day. Dmitry will be here with you. Don't leave the building. Don't answer the door for anyone except my people. Don't—" "I get it. Stay put. Don't do anything stupid." Lena sat across from him. "What happens at this meeting?" "I make my position clear. Chen either accepts it or he doesn't." "And if he doesn't?" Adrian closed his laptop with careful precision. "Then he stops being a problem, one way or another." "You keep saying things like that, like violence is just another tool in your kit." Lena wrapped her hands around her mug, needing something to hold. "Does it ever bother you, the things you do? Every day?" The admission came quietly. "But bothering me doesn't change the necessity. This is the world I live in, Lena, the world I chose a long time ago. Regret is a luxury I can't afford." "That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." "Probably." Adrian stood, gathering his papers. "I need to get ready. Make yourself comfortable. There are books, movies, whatever you need to pass the time. Just stay inside." He disappeared into another room, leaving Lena alone with her coffee and her thoughts. The day crawled. She tried to read, couldn't focus. Tried to watch something on the massive TV, gave up after 10 minutes. Dmitry remained a silent presence by the door, nodding politely when she emerged from the bedroom, but offering nothing in the way of conversation. At 1:30, Adrian reappeared, transformed. Gone was the casual version from this morning. Now he wore a suit that probably cost more than her car. His hair slicked back, every inch the cold, dangerous man she'd met at Apex. "I'm leaving now." He checked his watch, a slim piece of silver that caught the light. "I should be back by 6. If I'm not, Elena will call you with instructions." "What kind of instructions?" "The kind that get you somewhere safer than here." Adrian crossed to where she stood, his hands settling on her shoulders. "But that's not going to happen. I'll be back, I promise." "You can't promise that. Not if you're walking into something dangerous. I've been doing this for 15 years. I know how to handle men like Chen." His voice was confident, but his grip on her shoulders tightened fractionally. "Trust me." "I barely know you." "I know. But trust me anyway." Then he kissed her, hard and fast and desperate, like he was trying to memorize the taste of her. When he pulled back, his eyes were storm gray and determined. "Stay safe, Lena." "You too." He left, taking Dmitry with him, leaving her with a different guard, Victor, who introduced himself with a thick accent and immediately positioned himself by the windows with a clear view of the street. Lena paced, made more coffee she didn't drink, tried calling Maya but couldn't bring herself to complete the call. What would she even say? "Hi, I'm being held in a safe house while the man who's possibly kidnapped me goes to confront a criminal who wants to use me as leverage. How's your Friday?" At 3, her phone rang. "Elena." "Everything okay there?" the woman asked. "Define okay?" "Fair point. Victor says you've been pacing for the last hour. You're going to wear a hole in Adrian's floor." How do you know I've been pacing? Because Victor told me. We're all connected, Lena. That's how this works. Elena's voice softened slightly. I know this is hard, but Adrian's good at what he does. The best, actually. He'll come back. You sound sure of that. I am. I've seen him talk his way out of worse situations, and when talking doesn't work, well... Elena paused. Let's just say Chen would be smart to accept Adrian's terms. What are the terms? That you're under Adrian's protection, permanently. That anyone who touches you answers to him personally. That Chen and his people leave Chicago entirely and never look in your direction again. Lena's breath caught. Permanently? Adrian doesn't do temporary, not about things that matter. Elena said it matter-of-factly, like she was describing the weather. You matter, so the protection is permanent. Simple as that. Nothing about this is simple. No, but it is what it is. Hang tight. He'll call soon. The call ended, leaving Lena with more questions than answers. 4 p.m. came and went, then 5. Lena's anxiety ratcheted higher with each passing minute. Victor remained by the windows, occasionally speaking into a radio in Russian, his expression giving nothing away. At 5:45, the door opened. Lena spun around, heart leaping, but it wasn't Adrian. It was Yuki, moving fast, her usually calm demeanor replaced with something urgent. We need to go, now! She grabbed Lena's arm. Victor, secure the exits. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Lena pulled back. Where's Adrian? Meeting went sideways. Chen didn't accept the terms. His people are moving on multiple fronts, including this location. Yuki was already pulling Lena toward the door. We need to get you out of here before they arrive. But Adrian said, Adrian's plans changed the second Chen pulled a gun on him. Yuki's voice was ice cold. Now move. We don't have time for discussion. Victor led the way down the stairs, weapon drawn, moving with the kind of trained precision that made Lena's stomach drop. This was real. This was actually happening. They reached the ground floor just as the steel door exploded inward. Men poured through, 4 of them, armed, moving with coordinated efficiency. Victor opened fire immediately, the sound deafening in the enclosed space. Lena screamed, Yuki yanking her backward toward a second exit Lena hadn't noticed. Go, go, go! Yuki shoved her through a door that led to an alley, then turned back to help Victor. Lena stumbled into the November cold, disoriented and terrified. The alley was dark, filled with dumpsters and shadows and nowhere to hide. Behind her, more gunfire, shouting in multiple languages, the sounds of violence she'd only ever heard in movies. She ran, didn't know where she was going, didn't care, just ran toward the streetlights and the traffic and anything that looked like civilization. Her breath came in ragged gasps, her heart threatening to explode out of her chest. A car screeched to a stop beside her. Black SUV, tinted windows, and for one horrible second, Lena thought it was Chen's people, thought this was it, thought... The passenger door opened. Adrian, blood on his face, suit torn, eyes wild with something between fury and fear. Get in the car, right now! Lena dove into the passenger seat. The car was moving before she'd closed the door, tires screaming as Adrian drove like he was being chased by demons. What happened? She gasped. Yuki said Chen pulled a gun, said his people were coming for the safe house. Chen's dead. Adrian's voice was flat, emotionless. He refused my terms. Threatened you directly, so I killed him. The words landed like stones. You what? I told him you were off limits. He laughed. Said he'd already sent people to grab you from the safe house. Said he'd have you within the hour, and there was nothing I could do about it. Adrian's hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel. So I shot him 3 times. Then I called Yuki to get you out. Lena couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what she was hearing. You killed him, she repeated numbly. Yes. Because he threatened me. Yes. Adrian took a turn too fast, throwing her against the door. In the side mirror, Lena could see another car following them, but Adrian didn't seem concerned about it. That's Victor, he said, reading her panic. He and Yuki got out. They're covering our exit. Where are we going? Different safe house, one Chen didn't know about. Adrian's jaw was tight. You're not going back to your apartment, not to your job. Not to anything Chen's people might have mapped. You're disappearing until I've cleaned up this mess. For how long? As long as it takes. Lena stared at him. This man who'd just admitted to murder like it was nothing, who was driving through Chicago with blood on his face and absolutely no remorse in his eyes. This man who'd killed someone to protect her. Are you okay? The question came out before she could stop it. Adrian glanced at her, something flickering across his face. You're asking if I'm okay, after everything that just happened, after I just told you I killed a man. Yes. He laughed, the sound harsh. No, Lena, I'm not okay. I just started a war. Chen's organization won't let this go. They'll come for me, for everyone connected to me. This is about to get significantly worse before it gets better. Then why did you do it? Adrian pulled the car into an underground parking garage, cutting the engine in a space far from the entrance. In the sudden silence, he turned to face her fully. Because he threatened you. Because in that moment, the choice was let him live and risk your safety or end him and deal with the consequences. His eyes burned with intensity. I chose you. I'll always choose you, even if that makes me a monster. Lena's hands were shaking. Everything was shaking. This is insane, I know. People don't do things like this, not in real life. I do. This is my real life. Adrian reached over, his bloodied hand cupping her face with unexpected gentleness. And now it's yours too. I'm sorry, but there's no going back from this. Behind them, Victor's car pulled into the garage. Yuki emerged from the driver's side, looking roughed up but whole. She moved to Adrian's window, her expression grim. Building's secure. Chen's people are in disarray. Word spreading about what happened. They're scrambling. She glanced at Lena. We need to move her upstairs. Streets won't be safe once they regroup. Adrian nodded, then turned back to Lena. Can you walk? I don't know. Maybe. I think I'm in shock. That's normal. He got out, came around to her side, helped her from the car with the hands that were surprisingly steady for someone who'd just committed murder. Come on, let's get you somewhere safe, then we'll figure out what happens next. Lena let him guide her toward an elevator, Victor and Yuki flanking them. Everything felt surreal. The fluorescent lights, the concrete walls, the casual way they discussed war and murder, and her safety, like it was all part of some normal day. In the elevator, Adrian pulled her against his chest, his heart hammering beneath her ear. I've got you, he murmured. Whatever happens next, I've got you. I promise. And despite everything, the violence, the chaos, the complete destruction of her normal life, Lena believed him. The doors opened onto a penthouse that made the last safe house look modest. Adrian led her inside, immediately checking windows, securing doors, moving with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd done this 100 times. Sit, he ordered gently, guiding her to a couch. I need to make some calls. Yuki will stay with you. He disappeared into another room, his voice rising and falling in rapid conversation. Lena sat frozen, unable to process what had just happened. Yuki brought her water. Drink. You're pale. A man died today because of me. A man died today because he threatened you, and Adrian doesn't tolerate threats, Yuki corrected. That's not the same thing. Isn't it? No. Yuki sat beside her, her expression softer than Lena had seen before. Chen knew what Adrian was, knew what pushing him would cost. He chose to push anyway. That's on him, not you. Lena drank the water mechanically. What happens now? Now Adrian contains the fallout, negotiates with Chen's lieutenants, makes it clear that this doesn't have to become a full war if they're smart about it. Yuki paused. And you stay here, safe, until it's over. And then? And then you decide if you can live in Adrian's world, because after today there's no pretending you're not part of it. The truth of it settled over Lena like a weight. She'd crossed a line today, stepped fully into the darkness Adrian inhabited. And there was no going back to who she'd been before. The only question now was whether she could survive what came next. Adrian was on the phone for 3 hours straight. Lena sat on the couch, watching night fall over Chicago through bulletproof glass, listening to his voice rise and fall in the next room. Sometimes English, sometimes Russian, sometimes languages she couldn't identify. Always controlled, always commanding, never apologetic. Yuki had disappeared to coordinate security. Victor stood by the door, silent as stone. And Lena sat with the knowledge that a man had died today because Adrian had chosen her safety over diplomacy. She should have felt horror, should have felt guilt or revulsion, or any of the normal human reactions to violence and death. Instead, she felt numb. And underneath the numbness, something darker she didn't want to examine too closely. Something that whispered, "He did it for you. He killed to keep you safe." Her phone buzzed. Maya, for the 15th time. Lena had been sending brief reassurances all afternoon. "I'm fine, I'm safe, I'll explain soon," but hadn't actually answered any calls. Couldn't bring herself to hear her friend's voice right now. Couldn't pretend everything was okay when her entire world had just detonated. Another text appeared. "Lena, I swear to God, if you don't call me in the next hour, I'm filing a missing persons report. I don't care what you said. This is too much." Lena typed back slowly. "I'll call tonight, I promise. Just give me a few more hours." "You have until midnight, then I'm calling everyone. Police, FBI, National Guard, everyone." "Fair enough." Lena set her phone aside and let her head fall back against the couch. Adrian emerged from the other room around 8 p.m., exhaustion written in every line of his body. The blood was gone from his face. He'd cleaned up at some point, but his shirt was still torn, his knuckles scraped raw. "How bad is it?" Lena asked. "Could be worse." He poured himself whiskey from a crystal decanter, downed it, poured another. Chen's second in command is smarter than Chen was. He understands that war is expensive, and I'm willing to make it very expensive. We're negotiating terms. "What kind of terms?" "They pull out of Chicago entirely. I provide compensation for Chen's death. Monetary, not blood. Everyone walks away intact." Adrian sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. "If they agree, this ends peacefully. If they don't, I burn their operation to the ground and salt the earth behind me." "You say that so casually." "Because I mean it." He met her eyes. "I told you, I don't make empty threats. Chen found that out the hard way. His people are smart enough to learn from his mistake." Lena studied his profile, the sharp lines, the cold beauty, the absolute certainty in his expression. "Do you regret it, killing him?" "No." Adrian didn't hesitate. "He was going to hurt you. He said it directly to my face, described in detail what his people would do to you to get to me." His jaw clenched. "So no, I don't regret removing that threat." "What did he say?" The question came out quieter than intended. "About me?" "Nothing you need to hear." Adrian's hand found hers, laced their fingers together. "Nothing that matters now because he's not alive to follow through." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Adrian spoke again, his voice rougher. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly." "Okay. Can you live with what I did today?" He turned to face her fully. "Not just accept it intellectually, actually live with it. With knowing I killed a man to protect you, that I'd do it again without hesitation if someone else threatened you." Lena looked down at their joined hands. His knuckles were bruised, evidence of violence she hadn't witnessed but could imagine too clearly. She should have pulled away, should have been horrified. Instead, she held tighter. "I don't know," she said honestly. 2 weeks ago, the answer would have been absolutely not. But now? She paused, searching for the right words. "Now I'm sitting in a penthouse with armed guards outside because my life is in danger because I kissed you at a bar. And you're the only thing standing between me and people who want to hurt me. So can I live with it? I guess I don't have much choice." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now." Lena looked at him. "Ask me again in a month, after things settle, after I've had time to process what this all means. Maybe then I'll know." Adrian nodded slowly. "Fair enough." His phone rang. He glanced at the screen, then stood. "I need to take this. It's Chen's people. The negotiation." He disappeared back into the other room, leaving Lena alone with her thoughts. Victor materialized from his post by the door. "You should eat something. Yuki brought food earlier, in the kitchen." "I'm not hungry." "Doesn't matter, you need strength." Victor's accent made the words sound like orders. "This is not over yet. You need to be ready." "Ready for what?" "Whatever comes next." Victor's expression was unreadable. "Adrian will protect you, but you must also protect yourself. Eat, rest, be prepared." Lena found herself in the kitchen, mechanically eating Thai food that tasted like cardboard. Through the walls, she could hear Adrian's voice, calm and measured, discussing terms with people whose boss he'd killed hours ago. This was her life now. Armed guards and safe houses and negotiations about blood money. Her phone rang. Maya. It was 11:30. Lena had 30 minutes before her friend made good on the threat to call every authority in the state. She answered. Finally. Maya's voice cracked with relief. Where are you? Are you okay? Please tell me you're okay. I'm okay. I'm safe. Lena paused, trying to figure out how to explain. I'm with Adrian. Something happened today. Something bad. But I'm safe. What kind of something bad? The kind I can't explain over the phone. Lena closed her eyes. Maya, I need you to trust me one more time. I know I keep asking that, but I need another few days, maybe a week. Then I promise I'll tell you everything. A week? Maya's voice was flat. You want me to just accept that you've disappeared with a man we barely know for a week? Yes. Lena, this is insane. Everything about this is insane. You have to know that. I do. But it's also my reality now, and I'm choosing to stay, not because I'm being forced, because I want to. The words surprised her even as she said them. Because despite everything, despite how terrifying this is, I feel more alive than I have in years. Silence on the other end. Then quietly, he's changed you. No. He's shown me a version of myself I didn't know existed. Someone who can make hard choices, who can step into the darkness instead of running from it. Lena opened her eyes, staring at the city lights beyond the window. I don't know if that's good or bad yet, but it's true. I miss my friend who organized her spice rack alphabetically. She's still here, just evolving. Maya sighed, long and exhausted. 1 week, that's it. If I don't hear from you properly in 1 week, I'm scorching the earth to find you. And I will find you, Lena. Don't doubt that. I know. I love you. I love you too. Even when you're being completely reckless and terrifying. The call ended. Lena sat in the kitchen, phone in hand, feeling the weight of the choice she'd just articulated. She was choosing this. Choosing Adrian's world, with all its violence and danger and moral ambiguity. The question was whether she'd regret it. Adrian found her an hour later, still sitting at the kitchen island. Chen's people accepted the terms. They're pulling out. No retaliation, no war. They want distance from this entire situation. So it's over? This part is. Adrian leaned against the counter, studying her. But there are still the Volkovs and the cartel. They're watching to see what happens next. How I handle the fallout from Chen. Which means I'm still in danger. Which means you're still under my protection. Yes. He paused. I have a proposal for you. I'm almost afraid to hear it. Stay with me. Not hidden away in safe houses. Actually with me. Let me teach you how to navigate this world. How to protect yourself. How to recognize threats before they become problems. Adrian's eyes were intense. I can't change what's happened. Can't erase the target on your back. But I can make sure you're not helpless. That you have the tools to survive if something happens to me. Lena processed this. You want to train me. I want to give you agency. Right now, you're dependent on my people for your safety. That's not sustainable long term. You need to be able to protect yourself. And if I say no, then I keep you safe the way I have been. But you'll always be reacting, never anticipating, always vulnerable. Adrian moved closer. I'd rather you be a partner than a liability, Lena. And right now, you're a liability. The bluntness stung, but she appreciated the honesty. How long would this training take? Months, maybe longer. Depends on how quickly you learn. He paused. But you'd be with me the entire time. No more safe houses, no more hiding. You'd live in my world openly, under my protection. As what? Your girlfriend? Your responsibility? She struggled for the word. As mine. Adrian's voice was quiet but absolute. Whatever label you want to put on it, but mine, completely. The possessiveness should have scared her, should have sent every feminist instinct she had into red alert. Instead, it sent heat pooling low in her stomach. This is crazy, she whispered. Yes. Adrian's hand came up, fingers threading through her hair. But you already knew that. You've known since the moment you kissed me at Apex that this was going to be complicated and dangerous and completely insane. I thought it would be one night, one stupid dare, and instead it's the rest of your life." He tilted her face up to his. "The question is whether you're brave enough to accept that." Lena thought about her apartment, gathering dust without her. Her job, where Marcus was probably fielding concerned calls. Her carefully organized life that had felt so suffocating she'd needed her friends to dare her into one night of recklessness. That life was gone. Shattered the moment Chen had shown up at her office. Maybe even before that, the moment Adrian had kissed her back and asked her name. She could mourn it, could try to piece it back together, could run to some new city with a new name and spend the rest of her life looking over her shoulder. Or she could step fully into the fire and see if she survived the burning. "Teach me," she said. "Show me how to live in your world. I want to learn." Adrian's eyes blazed with something that looked like triumph. "You're sure?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Lena pulled him down, kissing him hard. "Just promise me something." "What? Don't make me regret this." "I can't promise that." Adrian's honesty was brutal as always. "I can promise to do everything in my power to keep you safe, to be honest with you, to give you the tools you need to survive. But regret?" He shook his head. "That's on you. You have to decide if this is worth it." "Then I guess I will." Lena kissed him again, slower this time, one day at a time. They spent the night in the penthouse, Adrian making more calls while Lena tried to wrap her mind around the decision she'd made. Around 3 a.m., exhaustion finally won. She fell asleep on the couch, Adrian's jacket over her shoulders, the sound of his voice discussing business she didn't understand lulling her under. She woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. Adrian sat across from her, showered and changed, looking far more human than he had the night before. "Morning," he said. "How do you feel?" "Like I'm living in a movie." Lena sat up, pushing hair from her face. "Is it always this intense?" "No, usually it's more boring. Paperwork and meetings and legitimate business operations." Adrian passed her a mug of coffee. "The violence is rare, but when it happens fast." Comforting. "Not meant to be. Just honest." He set his own mug down. "I've arranged for some of your things to be brought here. Clothes, toiletries, whatever you need. Elena's handling it. Can I see Maya? I owe her an actual conversation." "Not yet. Give it a few more days. Let Chen's people fully clear out. Let things settle." Adrian's expression softened. "I know that's hard, but it's necessary." Lena wanted to argue, but couldn't find the energy. "What happens today?" "Today, we start your education. First lesson, situational awareness. How to read a room, identify threats, spot an ambush before it happens." Adrian stood, offering his hand. "Come on, time to stop being a victim and start being a survivor." The next week blurred into a strange new routine. Mornings, Adrian taught her about his world, the organizations, the power structures, the unwritten rules that governed the spaces where law became optional. Afternoons, Victor drilled her in self-defense, teaching her how to break holds, identify weapons, move efficiently in a crisis. Evenings belonged to Adrian and his business. She sat in on meetings, silent, observing, learning how he negotiated, how he commanded rooms full of dangerous men with nothing but his presence and his words. "Watch their hands," he told her after one particularly tense negotiation. "Hands tell you more than faces. Someone planning violence will telegraph it physically before they act." "How do you know all this?" "Experience. Years of it." Adrian poured wine, passed her a glass. "I grew up in Moscow. Different world than Chicago, but same basic principles. Power respects power. Weakness invites exploitation. You learn fast or you don't survive." "What made you leave?" "Ambition. Moscow's hierarchy was established. I wanted to build something of my own." He smiled slightly. "So I came here. Started small, grew carefully. 15 years later, here we are." "Do you miss it? Russia?" "Sometimes. But this is home now, has been for a long time." Adrian's eyes found hers. "And now you're part of that home, part of what I protect." The possessiveness in his voice should have bothered her. But sitting in his penthouse, wearing clothes his people had bought, Drinking wine that probably cost more than her old monthly rent, Lena found she didn't mind. She was his. He was hers. The labels didn't matter as much as the truth underneath. 2 weeks after Chen's death, Adrian took her to meet the Volkovs. "This is a test," he explained in the car. "They want to see who you are, whether you're worth the protection I'm offering, whether you're a weakness or a strength." "What if I fail?" "You won't." Adrian's hand squeezed hers. "Just be yourself. Smart, observant, brave. They'll respect that." The meeting took place in a restaurant that was closed for a private party that didn't exist. Lena walked in on Adrian's arm, aware of every eye tracking her movement. The Volkovs sat at a corner table. 3 men, 1 woman, all radiating the same cold authority Adrian possessed. "So this is her." The woman spoke first, Russian accent thick. "The one who started all this trouble." "This is Lena Hart." Adrian's voice was steel wrapped in silk. "Under my protection, permanently." "Pretty." The woman, Katya, Adrian had said her name was, stood, circling Lena like a predator assessing prey. "But pretty doesn't mean useful. What can she do?" "She learns quickly. She's smart, and she's brave enough to walk into this room knowing exactly what you are." Adrian didn't move, but Lena felt the tension radiating from him. "That's more than most." "Chen thought he could use her against you. Look how that ended." One of the men leaned back, lighting a cigarette. "You started a war over a woman, Adrian. That's not like you." "I ended a war before it started. There's a difference." Adrian's tone left no room for argument. "Chen made the mistake of thinking I'd negotiate where she was concerned. I won't. Neither should you." Katya returned to her seat, studying Lena with sharp eyes. "Do you love him?" The question caught Lena off guard. Honest answer. Do you love Adrian Voss?" Lena looked at Adrian, at the man who'd killed to protect her, who was teaching her to survive in his world, who'd claimed her with absolute certainty. "I don't know yet," she said honestly, "but I'm choosing him anyway." "Every day. That has to count for something." Katya smiled, actually smiled. "Good answer. Love is complicated. Choice is simple." She looked at Adrian. "She'll do. We have no interest in testing your protection. Chen was stupid. We're not." The tension in the room evaporated. The meeting became almost cordial, though Lena noticed no one fully relaxed. Adrian kept his hand on her back the entire time, a constant reminder of his presence. After in the car, Lena exhaled shakily. "Did I just pass some kind of test?" "Yes, and you did it perfectly." Adrian pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. "1 threat down, 1 to go." "The cartel. They're taking longer to decide, but they'll come around, especially after they hear the Volkovs accepted you." Adrian's smile was sharp. "Everyone wants to be on the winning side, and I make it very clear which side that is." A month after Chen's death, Lena finally saw Maya. They met at a coffee shop in Lincoln Park, public and safe. Maya stood when Lena entered, and for a long moment they just stared at each other. "You look different," Maya said finally. "I am different." Lena sat across from her. "I know I owe you explanations. I know I've been terrible about communication. I'm sorry. Are you safe?" "Yes." "Are you happy?" Lena considered the question. Happy felt too simple for what she was feeling. But satisfied, challenged, alive in a way she'd never been before? "I think so. In a complicated way." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I thought I'd lost you. When you disappeared, when you stopped answering calls, when Elena kept sending those cryptic messages, I thought you were gone. I'm still here. Just different." Lena reached across the table, taking her friend's hands. "I made a choice, Maya. To stay with Adrian. To learn his world. To be part of it instead of running from it." "That's insane." "Probably. But it's my choice." Lena squeezed her hands. "I need you to accept that, even if you don't understand it." Maya wiped her eyes. "Does he make you happy?" "He makes me feel capable, strong, like I can handle things I never thought possible." Lena paused. "Is that the same as happy?" "I don't know, but it's enough for now." They talked for 2 hours, Lena explaining what she could, omitting the parts that would send Maya straight to the police. By the end, her friend looked exhausted but resigned. I can't watch you all the time anymore, Maya said. Can't protect you from yourself, so I guess I have to trust that you know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway, Lena smiled. That's growth, right? That's something. Maya hugged her tight. Don't become a stranger. Please, whatever else changes, don't lose yourself completely. I won't. I promise. Walking back to Adrian's car, her car now, she supposed, since she lived with him, Lena felt lighter. Maya knew. Maya didn't approve, but she knew. That was enough. Adrian was waiting at the penthouse when she returned. How did it go? She thinks I'm crazy. Are you? Definitely. Lena kissed him. But I'm okay with it. He pulled her close, and for a moment they just stood there, the city spread out below them, the weight of everything that had happened settling into something almost comfortable. The cartel reached out, Adrian said against her hair. They want to meet you, make their own assessment. When? Next week. Are you ready? Lena thought about the woman she'd been 2 months ago. Scared and careful and so desperately controlled. That woman would have said no, would have run as far and fast as possible. But she wasn't that woman anymore. Yes, she said, I'm ready. The meeting with the cartel was shorter than the Volkovs. Their representative, a man named Vargas, looked at Lena for all of 5 minutes before nodding to Adrian. She's stronger than she looks. I see why you chose her. Vargas smiled slightly. We have no issue with your arrangement. Consider her off limits. Just like that, the last threat evaporated. In the car afterward, Lena laughed, actually laughed. The sound surprised and genuine. What? Adrian asked. I just got approved by a drug cartel. Like a job interview, but more violent. She shook her head. My life is absolutely insane. Yes. Adrian's hand found hers. But it's yours. You chose it. I did, didn't I? Lena looked at him. This man who'd turned her world upside down, who'd killed to protect her, who was teaching her to be someone she'd never imagined she could be. No regrets? Ask me again in 5 years. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Adrian echoed her words from weeks ago, smiling slightly. Just like you told me. Lena settled back in her seat, watching Chicago pass by the window. Somewhere in this city, her old apartment sat empty. Her old life waited, gathering dust. She didn't miss it. 3 months after that night at Apex, Lena stood in Adrian's office, their office now, reviewing contracts for one of his legitimate businesses. She'd learned the ins and outs of his operations, the legal and the less legal, understanding how the pieces fit together. Victor had taught her to shoot. Yuki had taught her to drive defensively. Elena had taught her the communication networks, how to coordinate security, how to read threat assessments. And Adrian had taught her everything else, how to negotiate, how to read people, how to exist in a world where power mattered more than law. You're getting good at this, he said, reading over her shoulder. Found 3 discrepancies I missed. I told you I'm good with numbers. Lena leaned back against him. Question. Answer. Are we ever going to talk about what we are? Actually define this? Adrian was quiet for a moment. Then, does it need defining? Maybe. I don't know. Lena turned in his arms. I live with you, work with you, sleep with you, learn from you. What does that make me? Mine. Adrian said it with absolute certainty. In every way that matters. Everything else is just semantics. So possessive. You knew that when you chose to stay. His hand cupped her face. I don't share well. Don't compromise. Don't let go once I've decided something's worth keeping. And I'm worth keeping? You're worth killing for. I think that answers your question. Adrian kissed her, slow and deep. I love you, Lena Hart. I'm not good at saying it, but I do. The words landed like an earthquake. Lena stared at him, trying to process. You love me. Yes. Since when? Since you walked into that meeting with the Volkovs and told them you were choosing me every day. Since you learned to defend yourself instead of relying on me to do it. Since you became a partner instead of a responsibility. Adrian's eyes were softer than she'd ever seen them. Since you stopped being afraid and started being fierce. Lena felt tears prick her eyes. I love you too. I think. Maybe. It's complicated. Everything about us is complicated. Adrian smiled. But we make it work anyway. We do, don't we? Lena kissed him again. One reckless night. Look where it got us. I'd do it again, every single choice, even knowing how it would end. Adrian pulled her closer. You're the best mistake I ever made. Sweet talker. Only for you. They stood there in the office, the city sprawling below them, two people who'd found each other in the darkness and decided to stay. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't safe. It wasn't anything Lena had imagined when she'd walked into Apex on that dare, but it was real. It was powerful. It was theirs. And that was enough. 6 months later, Lena walked into a charity gala on Adrian's arm, wearing a dress that cost more than her old monthly salary, moving through Chicago's elite like she belonged. Because she did belong. Not as the frightened analyst who'd kissed a stranger, but as Adrian Voss's partner, his equal, the woman who'd stepped into his world and carved out her own space in it. Maya was there, having reluctantly accepted an invitation. She pulled Lena aside near the bar. You look happy, she said, studying her friend's face. Actually happy, not just pretending. I am. Lena glanced across the room to where Adrian stood with a group of businessmen, commanding attention without effort. It's not the life I planned, but it's the one I chose. No regrets? Some days, when things get dangerous, when I remember what normal used to feel like. Lena turned back to Maya. But then I remember how suffocated I felt before. How small. And I think, at least now I'm living, really living, not just going through the motions. I still think you're crazy. I know, but you love me anyway. Unfortunately. Maya hugged her. Just promise me you'll stay safe as you can in... She gestured vaguely at the gala, at Adrian, at the world Lena now inhabited. All this. I promise. Adrian found her later, pulling her onto the terrace where the November air was cold and clear. Having fun? He asked. Actually, yes. Is that weird? Not at all. You're good at this. The social navigation, reading rooms, making connections. Adrian's hand settled on her waist. You've become invaluable, to the business, to me. Good. I'd hate to be just decorative. You could never be just anything. Adrian kissed her temple. I have something for you. He produced a small box from his pocket. Lena's heart kicked. This isn't a proposal? No. We're not there yet. Maybe never will be. Marriage is complicated in my world. Adrian opened the box, revealing a ring, simple platinum band with a single diamond. But it's a promise that you're mine, that I'm yours, that whatever happens, we face it together. Lena stared at the ring, emotions warring in her chest. Adrian, you can say no. You can take more time. I'm not pressuring you. His voice was steady, but she could see the tension in his shoulders. But I wanted you to know. This is permanent for me. You're permanent for me. Lena thought about the woman she'd been, the color-coded calendar, the alphabetized spice rack, the desperate need for control masking a desperate need for something more. She'd found more. It had come wrapped in danger and darkness, and a man who killed to protect what was his. But she'd found it. Yes, she said. Yes to the ring. Yes to the promise. Yes to all of it. Adrian's smile could have lit the entire city. He slid the ring onto her finger, then pulled her close, kissing her like they weren't standing on a terrace at a charity gala with hundreds of people inside. I love you, he murmured against her lips. Even when you're being reckless. I learned from the best. Lena kissed him back. And for the record, I love you too. Completely. No more maybes. They stood there as the city glittered around them. Two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way possible and decided that unlikely didn't mean impossible. It had started with a dare, with a kiss in a dark corner that should have meant nothing. Instead, it had meant everything, and Lena wouldn't change a single moment of it. Not the fear, not the danger, not the complete upheaval of everything she'd thought she wanted, because all of it had led her here, to this man, to this life, to a version of herself she'd never known existed but was learning to love. She was Lena Hart, financial analyst turned partner to one of Chicago's most dangerous men. Survivor, fighter, someone who'd stepped into the darkness and found light on the other side. And she was finally, completely alive. The night at Apex felt like it had happened to someone else. In a way, it had. That Lena, careful, controlled, suffocating in her own safety, was gone. This Lena stood in the November cold wearing a promise ring and designer dress, planning security protocols for legitimate businesses that laundered money from less legitimate ones, loving a man who'd killed to keep her safe. This Lena had made her choice, and she'd make it again tomorrow, and the day after, and every day that followed. Because sometimes the most reckless thing you can do is exactly what saves you. Sometimes you have to step into the fire to discover you're fireproof. Sometimes you have to kiss the most dangerous man in the room and see where it leads. For Lena Hart, it had led home. Not to safety, not to easy, but to truth, to power, to a life that challenged her every day and refused to let her hide. To Adrian Voss, who'd seen the brave, fierce woman underneath her careful exterior and refused to let her forget she existed. They walked back into the gala together, his hand possessive on her back, her ring catching the light. And Lena smiled, because she'd started this journey terrified, but she was ending it fearless, and that made all the difference.